The chamber became a war zone. Blood angels crashed into Necron immortals with the fury of demigods. Bolter fire echoed like thunder. Chain's words screamed as they bit into living metal. Green energy beams cut through crimson armor. Bodies fell on both sides. Captain Seraphian charged directly at the Necron overlord. His power sword blazed with holy fire. The overlord met him with ancient strength. Their weapons clashed. The impact created a shockwave that threw Marcus and Helvia backward. "We need to reach the reactors," Marcus shouted over the noise of battle. "While they fight each other." Helvia nodded. They ran along the edges of the chamber. No one noticed them. The Space Marines were focused on the Necrons. The Necrons were focused on the Space Marines. Two mortals were beneath the attention of gods and monsters. Level 6 was chaos. The awakening had disrupted everything. Power cables sparked. Pipes burst. Steam filled the corridors. But the plasma reactors still hummed with deadly energy. If Marcus could overload them, the explosion would destroy everything within 100 kilometers. The tomb. The prison. The Necron army. Everything, but he needed time. Time he did not have. "I will hold the entrance," Helvia said. She took position at the door. Her bolt pistol was almost empty. Her chainsword was damaged. But her faith was unbroken. "Do what you must." Marcus ran to the reactor controls. The systems were complex. Designed to prevent exactly what he was trying to do. But Marcus had been a soldier for 20 years. He had seen reactors before. He had seen engineers work on them. He understood the basics: disable safety protocols. Increase power flow. Prevent cooling systems from activating. Simple in theory. Deadly in practice. His hands moved across the controls. Warning lights flashed. Alarms screamed. The reactor core began to glow brighter. Behind him, he heard Helvia's bolt pistol firing. Then silence. Then the sound of a chainsword. She was fighting hand to hand now. "Marcus," a voice said that he turned. Standing in the doorway was Captain Seraphian. His armor was damaged. Green blood from Necron warriors stained his gauntlets. Behind him, the sounds of battle continued. But he had left his brothers to find Marcus. "Step away from the controls," the captain ordered. "I am destroying the tomb. It is the only way. We have called for exterminatus. Cyclonic torpedoes will reduce this world to ash. There is no need for your sacrifice. Exterminatus will take hours to prepare. The Necrons will escape before then. They will reach their ships. They will spread across the galaxy. This explosion will bury them forever." The captain stared at Marcus. His eyes were ancient. He had seen countless battles. Countless deaths. He understood sacrifice. "You are a prisoner. A condemned man. Why do you fight for the Imperium that abandoned you?" Marcus thought about the question. He thought about his trial. About the injustice. About the years of loyal service that meant nothing in the end. He had every reason to hate the Imperium. Every reason to let the Necrons win, but then he thought about Grendel. About Kale. About all the prisoners who had died in this place. They deserved justice. They deserved to be remembered. And if burying the Necrons meant burying himself, that was a price worth paying. "Because the Emperor protects," Marcus said. "Even when his servants fail. Even when justice is forgotten. The Emperor protects those who cannot protect themselves. That is what I believe. That is why I fight." The captain was silent for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He smiled. "You have more faith than many of my brothers," he said. "Very well. Complete your mission. I will hold the line." He turned and walked back toward the battle. His power sword ignited. He charged into the Necron ranks with renewed fury. Marcus returned to the controls. The reactor was reaching critical levels. In 3 minutes, it would explode. Nothing would survive. Helvia appeared at his side. Her armor was cracked. Blood ran down her face. But she was alive. "It is done," Marcus said. "We have 3 minutes. Then we run." They ran. Through the burning corridors. Through the collapsing levels. Behind them, the ground shook as the reactor core became unstable. They emerged on level 1. The courtyard where Marcus had first arrived. Drop pods littered the ground. Thunderhawk gunships hovered in the sky. Blood angels were evacuating. There. Helvia pointed at a gunship. Its ramp was still open. They ran. 50 meters. 40. 30. The ground cracked beneath them. Green light erupted from below. The Necron overlord rose through the floor. His body was damaged. One arm was missing. But his eyes still burned with ancient hatred. "You think you can escape me?" His voice was like grinding metal. "You think fire can destroy what has survived for 60 million years?" Marcus had no weapons. No armor. Nothing but his bare hands, but he had something else. Something he did not understand until that moment: his bloodline. The genetic markers that made him compatible with Necron technology. The Inquisitor had called it a gift. Perhaps it was. Marcus raised his hand. He focused on the green energy pulsing through the Overlord's body. He willed it to stop. The Overlord froze. His eyes flickered. For one moment, his systems faltered. What are you doing?" "I do not know," Marcus said. "But it seems to be working." Helvia charged. Her damaged chainsword bit into the Overlord's neck. Once. Twice. 3 times, the Overlord fell. "Run!" Captain Seraphian's voice echoed from the gunship. "The reactor is about to blow." Marcus and Helvia jumped onto the ramp. The gunship rose into the sky. Below them, the prison collapsed. Green fire erupted from every level. Then the reactor exploded. The blast was blinding. A pillar of fire rose into the clouds. The mountain crumbled. The tomb was buried under millions of tons of rock. Nothing could survive. Nothing would escape. The gunship flew toward the Blood Angels' battle barge in orbit. Marcus sat on the metal floor. His hands were shaking. Helvia sat beside him. Neither spoke for a long time. On the battle barge, they faced a tribunal. Captain Seraphian spoke in their defense. He told the chapter master what he had witnessed. A condemned prisoner who had more faith than many space marines. A battle sister who had fought beside them as an equal. The verdict came: Marcus Vero was cleared of all charges. The Inquisitor who had condemned him was declared a heretic. His records were erased. But that was not all. "Your ability to interface with Necron technology is unique," the chapter master said. "The Ordo Xenos has requested your service. You will work with Inquisitors who study the Necron threat. You will help the Imperium understand and defeat these ancient enemies." Marcus looked at Helvia. She nodded slowly. "I accept." Marcus said that he was no longer a prisoner. But he was not free. He had traded one cell for another. The Imperium would use him as a weapon. Just as the Inquisitor had planned. The only difference was that now, he served willingly. Helvia chose to remain with him. The Adepta Sororitas released her from her vows. She became his partner. His guardian. The only person in the galaxy he truly trusted. That night, they stood together on the observation deck of the battle barge. Stars stretched endlessly before them. "Do you feel free?" Helvia asked. Marcus thought about the question. He thought about the prison. About the tomb. About all the horrors he had witnessed. "No," he said finally. "In the Imperium, no one is truly free. We are all prisoners. Some cells are simply larger than others. Helvia nodded. She understood. They stood in silence as the ship entered the warp. Their journey was just beginning, but deep in Marcus's blood, something stirred. The Necron technology he had touched had left a mark. A connection that could not be broken, and somewhere in the darkness between stars, a signal was sent. A message to an ancient king who slumbered in a tomb at the edge of the galaxy. The silent king received the signal that he smiled, and he began to wake. The first thing Marcus Vero felt was cold metal against his face. His eyes opened slowly. Everything was dark. His hands were bound in chains that burned his wrists. The smell of rust and blood filled his nose that he tried to remember how he got here. Pieces came back to him like broken glass. A trial. Angry faces. A commissar pointing at him. The word heresy spoken like a death sentence. But Marcus was no heretic. He had served the Emperor for 20 years. He had killed hundreds of enemies. None of that mattered now. The ship shook violently. Marcus heard screaming from somewhere below. Other prisoners. Other souls being taken to the same dark place. He did not know the name of that place yet. He would learn it soon enough. A door opened with a loud grinding sound. Light poured in. It was red light, the color of old blood. A guard in black armor stepped inside. His face was hidden behind a skull mask. He grabbed Marcus by the chains and pulled him forward. "Walk," the guard said. His voice was flat and cold like a machine. "Or I drag your corpse." Marcus walked. The corridor was long and narrow. Other prisoners moved in a line ahead of him. Some were old men with broken bodies. Some were young soldiers like Marcus. All of them had the same look in their eyes. Fear mixed with confusion. None of them understood why they were here. The ship descended through clouds. Marcus could see through a small window. The planet below was dark. Smoke rose from its surface. Lightning struck the ground every few seconds. This was not a world meant for living. This was a world meant for dying. The ship landed hard. The doors opened. Hot air rushed in. It smelled like chemicals and burning flesh. Guards pushed the prisoners forward. Marcus stepped onto the ground of his new prison. The place was called the Grinding Pit. Marcus heard a guard say the name to another guard. It was built into the side of a mountain. Walls of black stone rose up around them. Towers with guns pointed down at the prisoners. Searchlights moved across the ground. There was no escape from this place. That much was clear. A man walked toward the prisoners. He wore red robes decorated with gold chains. His face was old and scarred. One of his eyes was replaced with a glowing red lens. He smiled, but there was no warmth in it. This was Warden Thaddeus Crone. "Welcome to your new home," the warden said. His voice echoed across the courtyard. "You are here because the Emperor has judged you. You are guilty. There is no appeal. There is no mercy. There is only service through suffering." He walked along the line of prisoners. He looked at each face. When he reached Marcus, he stopped. He stared at Marcus for a long moment. Then he smiled again. "A soldier," the warden said. "Good. Soldiers last longer here. You will work in the mines. You will dig until your hands bleed. And when you die, your body will feed the machines. This is the Emperor's will." Marcus said nothing. He had learned long ago that silence was safer than words. The guards led the prisoners inside the facility. They walked down stairs that went deep into the earth. The air grew hotter with each level. Marcus counted the floors. 1, 2, 3, 4. They stopped at level 5. This would be his home now. The cells were small. Each one had a metal bed and nothing else. No window. No light except for a small glowing strip on the ceiling. Marcus was pushed into his cell. The door closed behind him with a heavy sound that he turned around. Then he froze. There was a body in the cell. A man hung from chains attached to the ceiling. He had been dead for days. His skin was gray. His mouth was open in a silent scream. But that was not the worst part. On the wall behind the body, someone had written words in blood. The letters were rough and jagged. Marcus read them slowly. The 8th day, they come. Marcus did not understand what it meant. But a cold feeling spread through his chest. Something was wrong with this place. Something beyond normal cruelty. This prison held a secret. Before he could think more, all the lights went out. Complete darkness swallowed him. Marcus could not see his own hands. He could not see anything. Then he heard it. Something was moving in the corridor outside his cell. It was not footsteps. It was something heavier. Something being dragged across the metal floor. The sound grew closer. Closer. It stopped right outside his door. Marcus held his breath. His heart pounded in his ears. Through the small gap under his door, he saw a faint green light. It glowed like nothing he had ever seen before. It pulsed like a heartbeat. And then a voice spoke. It was not a human voice. It was ancient. It was cold. It spoke words in a language Marcus did not know. The light faded. The sound moved away. The normal red lights returned. Marcus stood in the center of his cell. His body was shaking. He looked at the dead man hanging from chains. He looked at the bloody words on the wall. The 8th day, they come. He did not know what was coming. But he knew one thing for certain. He needed to escape this place. Or he would die like the man before him. Screaming. Alone. Forgotten. Somewhere above, the warden watched on a screen. He smiled at the image of Marcus standing in fear. He pressed a button on his console. Another one has arrived, he said into a speaker. The Inquisitor will be pleased. A voice answered from the darkness. It was soft and terrible. Prepare him for level 7. The screen went dark. Kale moved with inhuman speed. His metal blade cut through the air where Helvia had been standing a moment before. She rolled backward, her power armor saving her from the follow-up strike that would have cut her in half. Kale! Marcus shouted. Fight it! You are still in there. The thing that was once Kale did not respond. There was no recognition in those glowing green eyes. No mercy. No hesitation. It attacked again. Helvia blocked the blade with her chainsword. Sparks flew. Metal screamed against metal. She was strong. But Kale was stronger now. Each blow pushed her back. Each strike came faster than the last. The warden watched with a smile. Beautiful, is it not? Human will combined with Necron power. This is the future of warfare. This is what the Imperium will become. Marcus grabbed a fallen guard's weapon. It was a lost gun. Weak against Necron metal. But it was all he had. He fired at the warden. The shot hit the warden in the shoulder. He screamed and fell. His attention was broken for one moment. That moment was enough. Marcus charged at Kale. Not to fight him. To reach him. He grabbed Kale's metal face with both hands. He looked into those green eyes. Kale. Remember who you were. Remember why you came here. You wanted redemption. You wanted to serve the Emperor again. This is not who you are. Something flickered in Kale's eyes. A spark of humanity buried beneath layers of metal and programming. His blade arm stopped inches from Marcus's throat. Marcus. The voice was distorted. Broken. But it was Kale. I cannot control, the programming is too strong, fight it. Just for a moment. Give us time to escape. Kale's entire body shook. He was at war with himself. Human will against alien machine. It was a battle he could not win. But he could buy time. Go, Kale said. His voice was clearer now. Stronger. The communication array is through that door. I will hold them here. Kale, I was never going to find redemption through living. Perhaps I can find it through dying. Kale turned toward the warden and the guards rushing through the corridor. Tell the Emperor I am sorry. For everything. He attacked. Not Marcus and Helvia. The warden. The guards. His own masters, Marcus and Helvia ran. Behind them, they heard the sounds of battle. Metal against flesh. Screams of dying men. And then silence. Kale had bought them the time they needed. He had paid for it with everything he had left. The communication array was a massive tower of cables and antennas. It reached up through the mountain and into the sky. From here, they could send a message to any Imperial ship in orbit. Helvia knew the codes. She had memorized them during her years as a battle sister. Her fingers moved across the controls. Blood Angel's battle barge Crimson Fury, this is Sister Helvia of the Order of the Bloody Rose. We have discovered heresy and Xenos contamination on Penal World Catacan Omega. Inquisitor Malthus Rex has been corrupted. Request immediate assistance. The Emperor protects. She sent the message. The screen flickered. A response came. Message received. Preparing strike team. Hold position. Helvia smiled grimly. They are coming. But the ground beneath them shook. The walls cracked. Green light poured through the fractures. Something was happening below. Something terrible. They ran back toward the main chamber. What they saw stopped them cold. The Necron tomb was awakening. From the depths of level 7, machines rose. Not the small constructs they had seen before. These were warriors. Necron immortals. Soldiers of living metal that had slept for millions of years. Their eyes glowed with ancient hatred. Their weapons hummed with devastating energy, and leading them was something worse than a Necron overlord that he stood twice the height of a man. His body was made of gold and black metal. A cloak of energy flowed behind him. In his hand he held a staff that crackled with power. His face was a death mask of perfect metal. His eyes burned with intelligence that was older than humanity itself. Zarek the Forgotten, the Overlord said. His voice echoed through the chamber like thunder. That is my name. I have slept for 60 million years. I have dreamed of stars and empires. And now I wake to find insects crawling through my tomb. Inquisitor Malthus Rex fell to his knees. Great Lord! I have prepared for your awakening. I have created soldiers for you. Human Necron hybrids. They are yours to command. The Overlord looked at the Inquisitor. There was no gratitude in those ancient eyes. Only contempt. You believe you can command Necron technology? You believe you understand our power? The Overlord raised his staff. You understand nothing. You are a child playing with fire. And now you will burn. A beam of green energy shot from the staff. It struck Inquisitor Malthus Rex. He did not die quickly. He screamed as his body was unmade atom by atom. His soul was torn from his flesh and trapped in a small crystal that floated into the Overlord's hand. Your soul will power my machines for eternity, the Overlord said. This is the price of your arrogance. The Warden tried to run. Necron immortals cut him down before he took 3 steps. Marcus and Helvia hid behind a fallen column. They were trapped. Below them, an army of Necrons. Above them, a planet's worth of rock. There was no escape. We need to destroy the tomb, Marcus whispered. The plasma reactors on level 6. If we overload them, the explosion will bury everything. We will die too. Better death than what that thing offers. But before they could move, a new sound filled the chamber. A roar of engines. An explosion of metal, drop pods crashed through the ceiling, the doors burst open. Standing in clouds of dust and debris were giants in crimson armor. Blood Angels, Space Marines. Angels of death made flesh, their leader stepped forward. His armor was ancient. His face was scarred. A halo of iron floated above his head. Captain Seraphian of the Blood Angels' 3rd Company. He looked at the Necron Overlord. He looked at the awakening army. Then he spoke into his vox. Exterminatus protocol recommended. This world is lost. Prepare cyclonic torpedoes. No survivors. Marcus's blood turned to ice. The Space Marines had not come to save them. They had come to destroy everything. Including the prisoners. Including him and Helvia. The Necron Overlord laughed. It was an ancient sound. Cold and terrible. Your weapons cannot kill what is already dead, child of the Corpse Emperor. But please. Try. It has been millions of years since I had worthy opponents. The battle began, and Marcus realized that survival had just become impossible. Marcus waited until the guards changed shifts. It happened at midnight. For exactly 3 minutes, the corridors were empty. 3 minutes to escape his cell. 3 minutes to find Helvia and Grendel. 3 minutes to begin their descent into hell. The bone key fit perfectly into his cell door. The lock clicked open. Marcus slipped into the darkness of the corridor. His bare feet made no sound on the cold metal floor. He moved like a ghost toward the other cells. Helvia was ready. She had been waiting for him. Her eyes were calm. Focused. Even in prisoner rags, she moved like a warrior. Old Grendel was slower. His body was weak. But his determination was iron. The evidence vault is on level 4, Helvia whispered. My armor and weapons are there. We need them for what comes next. They moved through the prison like shadows. The bone key opened every door. Grendel knew the patrol routes from 40 years of watching. They avoided guards. They slipped past cameras. They descended. Level 4 was different from the others. The walls were cleaner. The lights were brighter. This was where the warden kept his treasures. Weapons taken from prisoners. Armor stripped from fallen warriors. Artifacts too valuable to destroy. Helvia found her equipment in a sealed case. Her black power armor. Her chain's word. Her bolt pistol. She dressed quickly. When she was finished, she no longer looked like a prisoner. She looked like the angel of death she was trained to be. Now we go down, she said. Her voice was hard. Level 7. The elevator to level 7 required a special code. But Grendel knew it. He had watched the warden enter it thousands of times. His old fingers pressed the buttons. The elevator descended. The air changed as they went deeper. It became colder. Drier. The red lights gave way to a sickly green glow. This was not Imperial technology. This was something alien. Something ancient. The doors opened to reveal a massive chamber. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into darkness. The walls were covered with strange symbols. They glowed with green fire. In the center of the chamber stood machines unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. They were made of black metal that seemed to absorb light. They hummed with terrible energy. Necron technology, Grendel said. His voice shook with old fear. This is where he brings them. This is where he makes his monsters. They found documents scattered on a metal table. Marcus read them quickly. His blood turned to ice. The prison was built 40 years ago specifically for this purpose. Inquisitor Malthus Rex had discovered the Necron tomb beneath the mountain. Instead of destroying it, he claimed it for himself. He used prisoners as test subjects. He exposed them to Necron flaying machines. Most died in agony. Their skin was torn away. Their bones were shattered. But some survived. Those survivors were transformed. Their flesh was replaced with living metal. Their minds were burned away. They became weapons. Soldiers without fear or pain or mercy, the Inquisitor had built an army. A private army that answered only to him. "This is worse than I imagined," Helvia said. She looked at the machines with horror. "He has betrayed everything the Imperium stands for." "He believes he is saving humanity," Grendel replied. "He thinks Necron technology will make the Imperium stronger. He cannot see that he has become the enemy." Marcus looked deeper into the chamber. There were cages along the walls. Inside the cages were bodies. Some were still human. They screamed and begged for death. Others had already been transformed. Their metal faces stared at nothing. Their eyes glowed green. Then Marcus saw something that made his heart stop. Kale, his friend, was strapped to one of the machines. His skin was half gone. Metal plates covered his exposed flesh. His eyes were changing color. Brown was becoming green. Human was becoming machine. "Kale." Marcus ran forward. Kale's head turned slowly. He looked at Marcus. For a moment, something human flickered in his eyes. Recognition. Pain. Sorrow. "Run," Kale whispered. His voice was distorted. "Half human, half mechanical. You cannot save me. The process has begun. I am becoming one of them. I will not leave you. You must." Kale's metal hand grabbed Marcus's arm. The grip was impossibly strong. "Listen to me. There is a communication array on level 3. Send a signal to the Space Marines in orbit. They are blood angels. They will respond. They will destroy this place. What about you?" Kale smiled sadly. It was the last human expression his face would ever make. "I died the moment they put me on this machine. What remains is not me. It is a weapon. Use that weapon, Marcus. Use it against them." Before Marcus could respond, alarms screamed through the chamber. Red lights flashed. A voice echoed from speakers. "Intruders in level 7. All units respond." Helvia raised her bolt pistol. "We need to move. Now." But the doors at the far end of the chamber opened. Guards poured in. Dozens of them. They carried weapons that glowed with green energy. Necron weapons. Given to human hands, behind the guards walked a figure in golden robes. His face was ancient. His eyes burned with madness. A halo of metal floated above his head. This was Inquisitor Malthus Rex. "Welcome," the Inquisitor said. His voice was calm. Pleasant. Like a teacher greeting students. "I have been waiting for you, Marcus Vero. Your genetic profile is perfect. Your bloodline carries markers that are compatible with Necron technology. You were not sent here by accident. You were selected." Marcus felt the world spinning around him. "What are you talking about?" "Your ancestors were exposed to Necron artifacts centuries ago. The exposure changed their blood. That change passed down through generations. To you." The Inquisitor smiled. "You will become my greatest creation. A perfect fusion of human and Necron. A general for my army." Helvia fired her bolt pistol. The Inquisitor waved his hand. A shield of green energy absorbed the shots. "Sister, your faith is admirable but pointless. The Emperor cannot help you here. Only I can decide your fates." Grendel stepped forward. "Malthus. It has been 40 years. 40 years of watching you descend into madness. This ends now." The Inquisitor looked at his former acolyte. For a moment, something like sadness crossed his face. "You could have been part of this, old friend. You could have lived forever. Some prices are too high." The Inquisitor raised his hand. "Kill the old man. Capture the others." Guards moved forward. Grendel pulled a device from his rags. A grenade. "Run," he screamed, the explosion was blinding. Marcus felt Helvia grab him. They ran toward a side passage. Behind them, Grendel's body fell. His sacrifice had given them seconds, the passage led upward. Toward level 3. Toward the communication array, but when they emerged, they found the warden waiting. Behind him stood Kale. The transformation was complete. His entire body was metal now. His eyes glowed bright green. He looked at Marcus without recognition. "The Inquisitor wants you alive," the warden said. "But accidents happen. Kill the sister. Bring me the soldier." Kale raised his metal arm. A blade extended from his wrist that he attacked. 7 days passed. Marcus learned the rules of the grinding pit quickly. Rule 1 was simple. Trust no one. Rule 2 was simpler. Survive. Every morning, a loud horn woke the prisoners. They had 10 minutes to wash their faces with cold water. Then they marched to the mines below level 6. The work was brutal. Prisoners dug for promethium, a fuel that powered Imperial war machines. The tunnels were hot and dark. Men collapsed from exhaustion every hour. Guards dragged their bodies away. No one asked where. Marcus kept his head down. He worked hard. He spoke little. But he watched everything. On the 3rd day, a man approached him during the food break. He was thin with burns covering half his face. Strange symbols were tattooed on his arms. Symbols of chaos. This man had once served the dark gods. His name was Kale the Branded. "You are new here," Kale said. He sat next to Marcus. His voice was a whisper. "I can see you are not broken yet. That is dangerous." "I served the Emperor for 20 years, Marcus replied. "I will not break easily." Kale laughed softly. It was not a happy sound. "The Emperor? He cannot hear you here. Nothing holy reaches this place. I learned that truth long ago. I once followed chaos. I did terrible things. Then I sought redemption. I turned myself in. I thought the Imperium would give me a chance to prove my loyalty." He pointed at his burned face. "This was my reward." Marcus looked at the symbols on Kale's arms. "Why do you still wear those marks?" "They burned my skin, but the marks remain. A reminder of my sins. And my punishment." Kale leaned closer. "Listen to me, soldier. This prison is not what it seems. The warden serves something evil. Not chaos. Something older. Something worse." Before Marcus could ask more questions, guards shouted for prisoners to return to work. Kale disappeared into the crowd. But his words stayed with Marcus. That night, Marcus met another prisoner. Her name was Sister Helvia. She was once a battle sister of the Adepta Sororitas. A warrior nun devoted to the Emperor. Now she wore the same gray rags as everyone else. But her eyes still held fire. "You are wondering why a sister is imprisoned here," Helvia said. She did not wait for Marcus to ask. "I discovered a secret. An Inquisitor in our sector was doing forbidden experiments. He was working with Xenos technology. I reported him to my superiors. 3 days later, I was arrested for heresy." "The Inquisitor silenced you," Marcus said. "He tried. I am still alive." "That means he failed." Helvia looked around carefully. "I have been here for 6 months. I have been watching and listening. This prison was built on top of something ancient. Something buried deep below level 7. What is it? I do not know yet. But prisoners who go to level 7 never return. Not as themselves." The next day, Marcus met the oldest prisoner in the grinding pit. Everyone called him Old Grendel. He had survived 40 years in this place. His body was bent and weak. But his mind was sharp like a blade. "You are asking questions," Grendel said when Marcus sat beside him. "Questions are dangerous here. But you deserve answers." He coughed and spit blood onto the ground. "I was once an acolyte of the Inquisition. I served Inquisitor Malthus Rex. 40 years ago, he discovered something beneath this mountain. A tomb. An alien tomb." "Xenos?" Marcus asked. "Necrons." Grendel said the word like a curse. "Ancient machines that hate all life. They sleep in their tombs for millions of years. Then they wake." Malthus Rex did not want to destroy the tomb. He wanted to use it. He believed Necron technology could make him immortal. Marcus felt cold despite the heat of the mines. "That is heresy." "Yes. I refused to help him. So he threw me into this prison. For 40 years, I have watched him take prisoners to level 7. He uses them as test subjects. He exposes them to Necron machines. Most die screaming. Some survive. But they are no longer human when they come back. How do we stop him?" Grendel smiled sadly. "We cannot stop him from inside these walls. We need help from outside. There is an Adeptus Astartes battle barge in orbit. If we could reach the communication tower on level 3, we could send a distress signal." "Then that is what we will do," Marcus said. Grendel shook his head. "It is not that simple. The 8th day is tomorrow. That is when they come for new prisoners. If we are taken to level 7, it is over." Marcus looked at the walls around him. At the guards. At the prisoners who had already given up hope. He thought about the bloody words in his cell. "The 8th day, they come. Then we move tonight," Marcus said. That night, Marcus met with Kale, Helvia, and Grendel in secret. They made a plan. Kale had something important. A key made of bone. He had taken it from a dead guard months ago. It opened the doors between levels, but before they could move, alarms screamed through the prison. Red lights flashed. Guards ran through the corridors. The 8th day had come early. Marcus watched through his cell bars as guards in gas masks pulled prisoners from their cells. They grabbed Kale. They dragged him toward the elevator. "Marcus!" Kale screamed. He threw something through the bars. The bone key landed at Marcus's feet. Level 7. The truth is there. Find it. The elevator doors closed. Kale's screams echoed up the shaft. They grew distant. Then they changed. They became something inhuman. Something mechanical. Then there was silence. Marcus picked up the bone key. His hand was shaking. Tomorrow, he would find the truth. Or he would die trying. Above him, the warden watched on his screen. He spoke into his communicator. "The soldier has the key. Let him descend. The Inquisitor wants to see how far he will go." A green light pulsed in the depths below. The tomb was waking.